Emily Carter first saw the man through the rain-streaked window of a laundromat, standing across the street beneath a broken streetlight. His black coat untouched by the weather and his eyes fixed on her daughter's reflection in the glass. Lily was 8 years old, sitting on top of a washing machine with one sneaker untied, drawing stars on the back of a receipt while her mother folded uniform still warm from the dryer. The man did not move when Emily looked at him. He only lowered his gaze once Lily lifted her head. The second time, he was outside the elementary school, parked half a block from the crossing guard, one hand resting on the steering wheel, the other holding a paper cup of coffee he never drank. Emily noticed him because every other parent was rushing, honking, waving children through morning traffic. He was still, too still. His car was old but clean, dark enough to disappear in bad weather. Lily tugged on Emily's sleeve and asked if they were late. Emily said no, even though her hand had tightened around the strap of her daughter's backpack. By the fourth sighting, Emily had stopped calling it coincidence. Grocery store, apartment entrance, laundromat again. Always far enough away to deny anything, always close enough to be seen. She changed routes. He was there. She left early. He was waiting. She told herself not to scare Lily, not to let fear become another bill she could not pay. Then one Friday evening, as Lily bent down outside their building to pick up a dropped mitten, a gray van slowed beside the curb. Before Emily could reach her daughter, the man in the black coat stepped off the sidewalk and stood between Lily and the street. The van kept rolling, slow at first, then faced her. Emily pulled Lily behind her, heart punching hard against her ribs, and looked at the man as if he had caused the danger by appearing there. He did not explain. He did not ask if they were all right. He watched the van until it turned the corner, then glanced down at Lily's mitten lying near his shoe. His hand, broad and scarred across the knuckles, picked it up with strange care. He held it out to the child, not the mother. Lily took it quietly. "Thank you," she said. The man's face did not soften. His voice did. "Keep both of them on." Emily worked the closing shift at a 24-hour diner where the coffee tasted burnt by midnight, and every regular carried some kind of tiredness through the door. She knew how men looked when they wanted something. She knew the difference between lonely, drunk, angry, and dangerous. The man outside the laundromat had been something else. He did not stare the way a man stared at a woman walking alone. His eyes had moved past Emily almost immediately and settled on Lily with the watchfulness of someone counting exits. That was what made it worse. Emily could have handled fear aimed at herself. She had lived with that kind of fear before. In smaller apartments, with thinner doors, with men who raised their voices and then acted surprised when a child cried. But fear aimed at Lily changed the air around her. It made the fluorescent lights too bright. It made every stranger's face feel unfinished. It made her check the locks twice, then a third time, while Lily brushed her teeth in the bathroom and hummed a song from school under the running water. Their apartment was on the third floor of a brick building that smelled of old steam heat, fried onions, and rain-soaked carpet. The hallway light flickered every few seconds because the landlord kept promising to fix it and kept forgetting once rent was paid. She had learned to carry groceries in one arm and Lily's hand in the other, to move fast from the stairs to the door, to keep her keys between her fingers without letting Lily notice. That night, after the grey van disappeared, Emily made Lily soup from a packet and told her they were having a quiet evening, which was what she called it when she was trying not to panic. Lily sat at the small kitchen table with her mitten beside her bowl. She kept looking at it, as if the wool had become important because someone frightening had touched it carefully. "Mum," she asked, "do you know that man Emily stirred noodles until they broke apart?" "No." Lily considered this with the seriousness of a child deciding whether an adult answer was complete. He knew the van was bad. Emily turned off the burner. He didn't know anything. Her voice came sharper than she meant. Lily's shoulders pulled in. Emily softened at once, crossing the small kitchen to tuck the child's hair behind her ear. "I mean, we don't know what he knew. Sometimes adults just stand in the wrong place and it looks strange." Lily looked toward the window where rain tapped lightly against the glass. He didn't look scared. Emily followed her daughter's gaze and saw only their own reflection. Her cardigan, Lily's pale face, the kitchen lamp making a small, warm circle in a city that did not care. The next morning, Emily left 20 minutes early. She packed Lily's lunch before dawn, skipped her own coffee, and took the longer route to school. Lily complained softly that her legs were cold. Emily told her they were being adventurous. It was the kind of lie mothers told when they needed the world to stay gentle for 5 more blocks. At the corner near the school, Lily stopped to fix her backpack strap. Emily looked up. The dark car was parked across from the crossing guard. Samaman. Same stillness. Same paper cup in his hand. Emily felt something inside her go cold and exact. She bent near Lily and zipped her coat all the way to the chin. "Go straight inside with Mrs. Alvarez today. Don't wait by the fence." Lily blinked. Why? Emily forced her mouth into the shape of calm. Because it's raining. It was barely misting. Lily knew that. Children always knew when weather was being blamed for fear. She nodded anyway and walked through the school gate. Turning once to wave, Emily did not wave back right away. She crossed the street. The man saw her coming and did not start the engine. That frightened her more than if he had tried to leave. Up close, he looked older than she expected. Early 40s maybe, with short dark hair damp at the edges and a face built for silence. There was a fading bruise near his jaw, half hidden by stubble. His coat was expensive in the way working people noticed without admiring. Heavy wool. No logo. Nothing flashy. His eyes stayed on Emily now, not Lily, and the full weight of his attention made her want to step back. "You need to stop following us," she said. He looked past her for one brief second, toward the school entrance where Lily had disappeared inside. Then his gaze returned. "Take her home through the east gate this afternoon." Emily stared at him. "What?" "The front entrance gets crowded after 3 and too many cars. Too many people who don't belong." He said it quietly, without urgency, like a man giving directions to a place he already knew was burning. Her anger rose because fear had nowhere else to go. "You don't get to talk about my daughter like you know anything about her." A black SUV rolled slowly behind them. The man's eyes shifted, and something in his face closed. Not fear, recognition. His right hand lowered beside his coat. Relaxed, but ready in a way Emily understood before she had words for it. The SUV did not stop. Its tinted window reflected the gray morning. The school fence. Emily standing too close to a man every instinct told her not to trust. When it passed, he looked back at her. East Gate. He repeated. Emily's mouth went dry. Who are you for the first time? His expression changed. Almost too little to notice. Something tired moved through his eyes and was gone. Someone who noticed too late, he said. Then he started the car and pulled away before she could ask what that meant. Emily stood on the sidewalk until the crossing guard called out to ask if she was okay. She said yes because women like Emily said yes when their hands were shaking and there was a child inside a building they could not afford to fear. At work that afternoon, she spilled coffee twice, wrote the wrong order for table 6, and checked the clock so often her manager asked if Lily was sick. Emily said no. The word felt like a prayer she had no right to use. At 3 o'clock, she stood outside the school with every nerve awake. The front entrance was loud with umbrellas, backpacks, horns, mothers calling names, children laughing too hard after being kept inside all day. Emily searched faces until she found Lily walking beside Mrs. Alvarez, her hood sliding off one shoulder. Across the street, beyond the line of cars, the dark car was not there. For one foolish second, Emily felt relief. Then she saw the gray van. It was parked near the front entrance. Engine running, side mirror angled toward the gate. Emily moved before she finished thinking. She pushed through 2 parents, called Lily's name too loudly, and saw her daughter turn. The van door shifted open a few inches. A hand caught Emily's elbow before she stepped off the curb. She spun, ready to strike. It was him. He did not look at her. His eyes were fixed on the van. Walk, he said. I'm not leaving my daughter. Then walk to her. Slowly. There was command in his voice, but no panic. That steadiness held her together for the 7 seconds it took to reach Lily. Vincent moved half a step behind them, close enough to shield, far enough that anyone watching might not understand what he was doing. Lily looked up at him with no surprise, as if children recognized consistency faster than adults recognize danger. Hi, she said. His eyes stayed on the van, backpack on both shoulders. Lily obeyed. Emily wanted to hate that she obeyed him so quickly. She wanted to hate him for being right. The van pulled away before they reached the east gate. Tires whispering through rainwater. Vincent stopped at the corner and watched until it vanished into traffic. Emily held Lily's hand too tightly. Lily did not complain. That was how Emily knew her daughter had felt it too. At the east gate, away from the crowd, Vincent finally turned to them. Rain collected on the shoulders of his coat. A small cut along one knuckle had reopened, leaving a thin red line against his hand. He noticed Lily staring and closed his fist, hiding it. Emily saw that, a dangerous man, concealing blood from a child. It should not have made him seem safer. It did. Why are you doing this? She asked. Quieter now. Vincent looked at Lily first. Not long, just enough to make sure she was listening without understanding too much. Then he looked at Emily, because whoever is watching her has gotten closer. The street noise seemed to fall away. Emily swallowed. You said whoever. His face stayed still. That means you don't know who. Vincent's silence answered before his voice did. I know enough to stay near her. Lily's fingers tightened inside Emily's hand. Mom, Emily bent down, smoothing her daughter's hood, though it was already in place. We're going home. Vincent looked toward the street, then toward the apartment blocks beyond the school. Not your usual way. Emily rose slowly. And I'm supposed to just trust you, no. He glanced once at Lily's backpack, at the small silver locket clipped to the zipper, then back to the road. You're supposed to keep her between you and the buildings. Let me handle the street. Emily followed his gaze to the locket. The cheap little thing Lily carried because it had belonged to her father. The only piece of him Emily had never had the heart to put away. For the first time since the sightings began, the fear inside her changed shape. It was no longer only about the man beside them. It was about what he had noticed, and what everyone else might have noticed too. Emily spent the next week trying to prove Vincent wrong. That was easier than admitting he might be right. She changed routes. He was there. She left early. He was waiting. She picked Lily up at different times. He adjusted without being asked. The dark sedan never disappeared. But then one morning, it did. Emily walked Lily to school, and the car was not there. No Vincent. No dark sedan, only strangers at the gate. She told herself that was a good sign. All the way home, she told herself that it helped exactly as much as lies usually do. The next morning, a police cruiser sat outside the school. 2 officers were talking to the principal. Parents whispered near the entrance. Emily caught part of a conversation while signing Lily in. Somebody taking photographs. 3 separate reports. Probably harmless. Nobody sounded convinced. Emily's eyes searched the street. No Vincent. Only strangers. For the first time, that felt worse. That evening, Lily sat on the living room floor drawing, while Emily prepared dinner. Then Lily spoke without looking up. Mom, what is it? The man wasn't at school today. The knife stopped moving against the cutting board. What man? Lily gave her a look reserved for adults pretending not to understand obvious things. The one in the car. Emily returned to slicing vegetables. You shouldn't pay attention to him. But he pays attention to me. The answer landed with uncomfortable precision. A few minutes later, Lily held up her drawing. It showed their apartment building. Emily. Lily. And a tall, dark figure standing beneath a streetlight. Why did you draw him? Lily shrugged. He always makes sure nobody bothers us. The kitchen suddenly felt very quiet. That night, Emily checked on her daughter twice after she fell asleep. The second time, she noticed something resting on the windowsill. A folded paper crane. White. Simple. She knew it hadn't been there earlier. She unfolded it immediately. Nothing inside. No writing. No message. Just paper. The next morning, she found another near the apartment mailbox. Then more near the school fence. The laundromat entrance. The bench where Lily sometimes waited. Always where Lily would see them. Never where anyone else seemed to notice. Emily showed one to the school secretary. The woman frowned. I've never seen these before. Emily carried it home in her pocket. And by then her nerves felt stretched thin. That evening she left work early. Halfway to the apartment, she noticed a man standing near the corner convenience store. Baseball cap. Gray jacket. Nothing memorable. Except he was watching Lily. Not openly, not enough to justify confrontation. But enough. Emily slowed. The man looked away immediately. then crossed the street and disappeared. She felt cold despite the warm evening. Not because she had seen something, because she was no longer sure she had imagined it. When she reached the apartment building, a familiar dark sedan sat beneath the trees. Vincent was back. Emily felt relief before she could stop herself. It lasted less than a second. Then she crossed the street. That night, Emily made a decision. She was done waiting for answers. The next afternoon, she found Vincent outside the school. He stood beside his car holding a paper cup of coffee. The same position, the same patience, the same impossible stillness. Emily crossed the street before she could change her mind. "Talk to me." Vincent looked at her. Nothing else. No greeting. No surprise. No attempt to leave. Emily stopped a few feet away. "I've spent weeks wondering if you're dangerous. Now I'm wondering if somebody else is." A small breeze moved through the trees overhead. Children shouted somewhere beyond the fence. Vincent waited. Emily continued. There were police at the school. No response. Somebody's been leaving paper cranes. Silence. I saw a man watching Lily. Still nothing. Emily took another step closer. "What are you waiting for?" This time something shifted. "Not much. Just enough for you to stop pretending you haven't seen it." The answer caught her off guard. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Emily laughed once. Short. Humorless. "You know what I've seen?" Vincent nodded. A mother trying to convince herself everything is normal. The words hit harder than she expected. Because they were true, she had spent weeks doing exactly that. Vincent looked toward the school entrance. Children were beginning to leave for the day. His attention moved automatically across the crowd. Counting. Watching. Assessing. Emily followed his gaze, and the realization arrived slowly. He wasn't searching for Lily. He already knew where Lily was. He was searching everyone around her. "Why are you here?" she asked. His gaze held hers for several seconds, long enough that Emily stopped breathing properly. Long enough that she knew she was about to hear something important. "I wasn't watching you," he said. "I was watching anyone who came near your daughter." For a moment, she couldn't process the sentence. It rearranged every memory she had of him. Every sighting. Every appearance. Every coincidence. All of it suddenly pointed somewhere else. What does that mean? It means somebody noticed her. Fear entered his voice for the first time. Not panic. Not alarm. Fear. Small. Controlled. Real. Emily felt it immediately. What did they notice? Vincent looked toward Lily. The little girl had just emerged from the school doors carrying her backpack, completely unaware. Completely ordinary. Exactly the way a child should be. Vincent's jaw tightened. "I don't know yet." Emily swallowed. The answer scared her more than certainty would have. "You've been following her for weeks and you still don't know." His eyes remained fixed on Lily. "No, but I know enough." Enough for what? Vincent glanced toward the street. Toward the parked cars. Toward the passing pedestrians. Toward every direction danger could come from. Then he answered, "Enough to know she shouldn't be alone." At that exact moment, Lily spotted them. She smiled, raised her hand, and waved. Vincent's face changed by the smallest amount, only for a second. Then it was gone. Emily saw it, and somehow that frightened her almost as much as everything else. Because for the first time, she believed him, and because for the first time, She realized he was afraid too. After that afternoon, Emily stopped pretending Vincent was only a problem. That did not mean she trusted him. Trust was too large a word for a man who appeared out of rain and shadows, who spoke in half answers, who watched schoolyards like every passing car might open its door and steal a child. But Emily began making smaller decisions. She let Lily walk on the inside of the sidewalk. She took the east gate when Vincent said to her. She stopped arguing when he asked her to wait inside the school until the street cleared. Small things, careful things, things a mother could call caution instead of surrender. Vincent never came upstairs. He never asked to be invited in. He never touched Lily unless the child reached first. And even then he seemed to treat the contact like something breakable had been placed in his hand. That was what Emily noticed most. His hands were made for violence. Scarred knuckles, steady fingers. The kind of hands that could close around a man's throat without shaking. Yet when Lily handed him one of her drawings through the apartment gate, he held the paper by the corners so it would not crease. The drawing showed 3 people beneath a yellow window. Emily, Lily, and Vincent standing outside in the rain. "You're not inside," Lily said. Vincent looked at the picture for a long moment. No. Why Emily stood behind her daughter, ready to step in if he said the wrong thing. Vincent folded the paper carefully once, then again. Because somebody has to watch the door. Lily seemed satisfied with that. Emily was not. The answer stayed with her while she washed dishes that night. Through the kitchen window, she could see the corner of his car beneath the streetlight. He had been there for 2 hours. No phone in his hand. No cigarette. No music. Just his reflection in the windshield and his attention fixed on everything that moved. At 9, Lily came out of her room holding the locket. The small silver piece hung from a thin chain, dented near the clasp from years of being carried in pockets and clipped to backpacks. Her father had bought it from a street vendor when Lily was too young to remember him clearly. Emily had kept it because grief made ordinary objects impossible to throw away. "The clasp is stuck," Lily said. Emily tried to open it. "It would not move. I'll fix it tomorrow." Lily looked toward the window. "Can Mr. Vincent fix it?" "No." The answer came too quickly. Lily looked at her. Emily softened her voice. "It's late. He fixes things." That was the part Emily could not answer. The hallway light. The cracked step. The chain lock. A loose screw on the school fence Lily had mentioned once and Emily had not noticed until the next morning, when it had already been tightened. Vincent fixed things without asking to be thanked. That made him harder to keep outside. The next afternoon, Emily found Lily sitting on the apartment steps while Vincent stood 3 feet away, holding the locket in one hand and a small tool in the other. Lily brightened. He fixed it. Vincent looked up. The air changed. Emily walked over slowly. "I told her not to bother you." "She didn't?" "She's 8. She bothers everyone." Lily frowned. "I do not." Vincent glanced at her. Then back at the locket. The clasp was bent. Emily held out her hand. He placed the locket in her palm. Careful. No contact. For half a second, his eyes stayed on the metal. Something moved across his face that Emily could not name. What Vincent's hand closed around the small tool. Nothing. The word was too quick. Emily looked down at the locket. On the back, almost hidden by scratches, were Lily's initials and the name Daniel Carter. Her husband's name, Lily's father. The dead man Emily rarely spoke of because grief had become less like a wound and more like weather. Always present. Sometimes quiet. Sometimes making everything harder to carry. Vincent looked away first. That evening, he was gone from the street. Emily told herself that was a good thing. The apartment felt too large without the familiar shape of his car outside. At dinner, Lily ate 3 bites of macaroni and pushed the rest around her plate. Is he coming back? Emily kept her eyes on her own plate. I don't know. Did you make him leave? The question was small. It hurt, anyway. No. Lily nodded. But her face changed. Children had a way of believing adults were responsible for every disappearance. Emily reached across the table. He said somebody had to watch the door. Emily had no answer for that. A little after midnight, she heard footsteps in the hallway. Soft. Controlled. Not the drunken stumble of a neighbor coming home late. Emily sat up in bed. The apartment was dark except for the blue glow from the kitchen clock. She reached for the baseball bat she kept beside the dresser and moved barefoot toward Lily's room. Her daughter slept curled beneath the blanket, one hand tucked under her cheek. Another sound came from outside. A low scrape near the apartment door. Emily's grip tightened around the bat. She moved closer. Through the peephole. The hallway looked empty. The repaired light hummed overhead. On the floor outside the door sat a paper crane. White. Folded with careful hands. Emily did not open the door. She backed away. Heart beating too hard. And reached for her phone before she could dial anyone. Headlights swept across the living room wall. A car had pulled up outside. Emily crossed to the window. Vincent stepped out of the dark sedan. This time, he was not alone. 2 men got out behind him. They did not look like friends. They looked like men who followed orders before they were spoken. Vincent did not glance toward Emily's window. He looked at the apartment entrance, then at the street, then at the roofline across the road. His face was calm. His body was not, even from 3 floors up. Emily could see the readiness in him, the quiet violence held in place by control. One of the men beside him lifted a phone to his ear. The other crossed the street and disappeared into the alley. Lily appeared behind Emily. Half awake. Mom Emily turned quickly. It's okay. Lily rubbed her eyes. Is Mr. Vincent back? Emily looked down at the street. Vincent stood beneath the cold light. One hand inside his coat, watching the building as if the walls themselves had become something he needed to protect. Yes, Emily whispered, and for the first time, she was grateful. Vincent did not come to the door until morning. By then, Emily had not slept. The paper crane remained outside the apartment, untouched. A small white shape on the worn carpet. She had placed a chair beneath the doorknob sometime before dawn, then hated herself for knowing how little that would matter if someone truly wanted to come inside. At 7, there was a knock. 3 soft taps. Lily was brushing her teeth. Emily opened the door with the chain still fastened. Vincent stood in the hallway. He had changed clothes, but not enough to hide the night from his face. There was a faint mark near his collar, fresh enough that Emily knew better than to ask directly. His eyes moved past her once, toward the apartment interior. "Is she awake?" Emily did not answer. Vincent looked at the paper crane on the floor. His face did not change. That made the fear worse. "You know what it is?" Emily said. "I know who left it." The hallway seemed to narrow around them. Emily's fingers tightened on the door. Who? Vincent looked toward the stairwell, then back at her. "Let me in." "No." His gaze held steady. "This conversation cannot happen in the hallway." Emily almost laughed because the entire situation was absurd. A man she did not trust was asking to enter the only place her daughter slept. A man she feared was also the reason she had not completely fallen apart during the night. Behind her, Lily turned off the bathroom faucet and began humming. Vincent heard it. His eyes lowered. Not soft. Careful. Emily unlatched the chain. He stepped inside and stopped immediately near the door, as if crossing farther would be a violation. The apartment looked smaller with him in it. The kitchen table, the second-hand couch, the little row of Lily's shoes by the wall, the warm lamp near the window. All of it seemed too ordinary beside a man like him. Lily came out of the bathroom with toothpaste at the corner of her mouth. "Mr. Vincent." He took a tissue from the box on the side table and held it out without stepping closer. "Your face." Lily wiped her mouth. "Oh." His eyes had already returned to the window. Emily sent Lily to pack her school bag. When the bedroom door closed, she faced him. "Talk." Vincent placed the paper crane on the kitchen table. "The man leaving these works for a crew from Queens. They were paid to find something." "What something?" He looked at the locket hanging from the hook beside Lily's backpack. Emily followed his gaze. Her throat tightened. "No." Vincent said nothing. "No." That was her father's. "It's just a necklace." "It was her father's?" Vincent said. "That part is true." Emily stared at him. Something in his voice made the room feel colder. "You knew Daniel?" Vincent did not answer fast enough. That was an answer by itself. Emily stepped closer. "How did you know my husband?" Vincent's jaw tightened. "I knew of him." "That's not the same thing." "No." "Then say it clearly." For the first time since entering the apartment, Vincent looked almost tired. Not weak. Never weak. Tired in the way a man looked when the past had finally found the one door he had left unguarded. Daniel Carter was not just a bookkeeper. Emily went still. He moved money for dangerous men. Quietly. Carefully. For years. No. The word left her before thought could catch up. Vincent's eyes did not move. He kept records. Names. Payments. A route. People who paid to stay invisible. He tried to get out. He copied the files and hid part of them before he died. Emily looked at the locket. "No." This time the word was smaller. Vincent's gaze followed hers. "They think he left it with her." With Lily, his silence confirmed it. Emily felt anger rise so sharply it steadied her. She was 4. "I know." "No." "You don't know?" Her voice shook. But she did not lower it. "You don't know what it was like after he died. You don't know what I had to tell her when she asked why Daddy wasn't coming home. You don't know what that locket meant because it was the only thing I had that didn't feel like a lie." Vincent accepted every word without defense. That made her angrier. "Did you kill him?" The question entered the room like a blade. Vincent did not flinch. "No." "Did your people know?" Then why are you here? His eyes moved once toward Lily's door, then back. Because I ordered men to look for Daniel before he died. Emily stared at him. The apartment seemed to lose all sound. Vincent spoke carefully. My men never reached him. Someone else did first. Emily's hand tightened on the chair until her knuckles ached. But you were part of it. Yes. The answer was immediate. No excuse. No softening. No attempt to make himself smaller. That honesty frightened her more than a denial would have. Lily opened her bedroom door. Both adults turned. She stood there wearing her backpack. The silver locket clipped to the front zipper. What happened? Emily crossed the room so quickly Lily stepped back. Nothing. Lily looked at Vincent. Children noticed the shape of silence before adults named it. Is it because of my necklace? Emily closed her eyes. Vincent did not move. Lily touched the locket with 2 fingers. Daddy gave it to me. Vincent's voice changed. Barely. Enough. I know. Emily turned to him. Lily did too. The quiet stretched too long, then a phone vibrated inside Vincent's coat. He checked the screen. Whatever he saw erased every trace of stillness from his face. He moved to the window, looked down. Emily followed. Across the street, a gray van had stopped beside the curb. The side door was open. A man in a baseball cap stood near the building entrance. Looking up at their window, Lily stepped closer to her mother. Vincent put the phone away. His voice was low. Get her coat. Emily did not argue. She reached for Lily's jacket with shaking hands. Vincent opened the apartment door and spoke without looking back. From this moment on, no one touches that locket except me. Emily froze. Vincent looked at Lily then, and the danger in him softened only enough for the child to understand the instruction, not the fear behind it. Can you do that? Lily nodded. The gray van's engine growled below. Vincent turned toward the hallway, and the man who had spent weeks standing outside their lives finally stepped fully between them and the world coming for her. The elevator was too slow. Vincent ignored it. He led Emily and Lily down the stairwell, while one of his men moved ahead and another remained behind them. The building suddenly felt crowded with danger that could not yet be seen. Every landing, every doorway, every blind corner carried possibility. Lily held her mother's hand so tightly her fingers had gone pale. The moment they reached the first floor, Vincent stopped. A voice drifted through the glass entrance. Male. Calme. Patient. The kind of voice people used when they believed they already had control. Emily felt Lily move closer. Vincent looked through the narrow pane beside the door. Then he stepped back. They're early. One of his men approached. There are 3 outside. Vincent nodded. Only 3. The man hesitated. That we can see. Vincent's expression hardened. Emily finally understood something important. The men outside did not worry him. The ones he couldn't see did. A second later, someone knocked. 3 times. Slowly. The exact same rhythm as the knock on Emily's apartment door that morning. Nobody moved. Another knock. Then silence. Finally, a voice spoke through the glass. We only want the necklace. Lily buried her face against Emily's side. Vincent never looked away from the door. The man outside continued. The kid doesn't matter. Emily felt Vincent change. Not visibly, not dramatically. Something simply became colder, more final. The man had made a mistake. Everybody inside the room knew it. Even Lily sensed it. Vincent spoke quietly. "Take them out the back." His men moved immediately. Emily grabbed his arm. "What about you?" For the first time since entering her life, Vincent looked directly at her without scanning the street, without checking exits, without listening for danger. Just Emily. Just 1 second. Long enough for honesty. "They won't follow you while I'm here." Then he removed her hand gently and walked toward the front entrance. The rear alley smelled of wet brick and old garbage. Emily hurried beside Lily while Vincent's men led them toward a waiting vehicle. Her pulse hammered so loudly she could barely hear the city around her. Then something shattered. Glass. Far away. Followed by shouting. One of Vincent's men touched his earpiece. His face tightened. Emily looked back. The apartment building stood 4 blocks away. Small. Distant. Yet somehow all of her attention remained there. Because Vincent was still there. Because every terrible possibility seemed to point toward the same man standing between her daughter and the people hunting her. They arrived at an old warehouse near the river. Concrete walls. Faded paint. Metal doors. The kind of place the city forgot years ago. Vincent arrived almost an hour later. Alone. His coat carried fresh rainwater. A tear along one sleeve. A bruise darkening beneath one cheekbone. Lily saw him first. Without hesitation, she crossed the room. Emily almost stopped her. Almost. Instead, she watched. Lily stood directly in front of him. "Did they hurt you?" Vincent looked down. The question seemed to catch him off guard. Adults usually asked whether he won. Children asked whether he was hurt. Nothing important. Lily frowned. "It looks important." For the first time all day. Something like amusement appeared in his eyes. He crouched so they were nearly level. The necklace. Lily touched the locket. "What about it?" Vincent held out his hand. The room grew quiet. Emily watched her daughter carefully unclasp the chain. No fear. No hesitation. Only trust. Lily placed it in his palm. Vincent opened the locket. For several seconds he examined something hidden inside. Something so small nobody else had ever noticed. Then he exhaled. Very slowly. Emily realized she had never seen him relax before. Not once. "What is it?" she asked. Vincent looked at the tiny compartment hidden beneath the photograph. Empty. Completely empty. One of his men stared. "That's impossible." Vincent closed the locket. "No." "What does that mean?" Vincent looked at her. Then at Lily. Then back to the necklace. "It means Daniel never left the information with her." The truth settled like something heavy placed on a table. Weeks of fear. Years of secrets. A dead man's shadow hanging over a child. And in the end, Lily had never carried what they believed she carried. Emily sat down. Her legs had stopped working the way legs were supposed to. So this was all for nothing. Vincent shook his head. No. His gaze moved toward Lily. She was still hunted for it. The warehouse fell quiet again. Because there was no argument against that. No way to erase what had happened. No way to return the lost weeks. No way to undo fear. Late that evening, Vincent made several phone calls, short conversations, quiet decisions. By midnight, the danger that had been circling Emily and Lily for weeks was gone. Not because the city became safer, not because criminals suddenly found mercy, because Vincent chose to end it. The cost of that choice never appeared on television. Nobody wrote articles about it. Nobody thanked him. The city simply continued. Rain fell. Traffic moved. Streetlights flickered. Life carried on. Weeks later, Lily returned to school through the front gate. The gray van never came back. The paper cranes stopped appearing. The strangers disappeared. Spring arrived slowly. One afternoon, Emily stood outside the apartment building holding groceries when she noticed the hallway light was flickering again. The landlord still hadn't fixed it. Some things never changed. She smiled despite herself. A familiar dark sedan was parked across the street. Vincent sat inside, exactly where he had always been, watching, waiting, protecting. Emily crossed the road, the window lowered halfway. "You know," she said. "Most people would call this stalking." Vincent glanced toward Lily, who was drawing chalk stars on the sidewalk. Then back at Emily. "Most people don't have Lily." The answer stayed with her. Across the street, Lily looked up and waved. Vincent raised one hand. Nothing more. The moment lasted only a second. Then Emily understood something she had been resisting for months. He had never wanted to become part of their lives. That was what made him dangerous, and what made him trustworthy, because every step toward them had cost him something. The evening sun slipped between the buildings. Lily returned to her drawing. Emily carried the groceries upstairs. And across the street, a man who had spent his life surrounded by violence remained exactly where he had chosen to be, watching the door. Some people protect you because they love you. Others protect you because they know exactly what the world can do when nobody stands in the way. If this quiet promise stayed with you, there are more stories waiting just beyond the next streetlight. And somewhere tonight, another dangerous man is about to discover that the one thing he cannot walk away from is a child who trusts him.